There's a male serial killer and a female serial killer, both loose in your city. Which one would be harder to catch? Well, as someone that's watched over 100 serial killer movies, let's answer which gender kills smarter by highlighting the secret differences between male and female killers. We will do this by comparing them using 3 different categories: the difference in their behaviors, their motives, and their techniques behind the kill. And by the end of the video, we can tally up the winner from each category and finally answer which gender you should stay 87,000 miles away from. First, let's talk about the behavioral differences between male and female killers. If I showed you this behavior versus this one, which person would you likely point to as a serial killer? In most cases, we'll choose the person that looks more volatile, more impulsive.
See what you made me do?
This trait subconsciously gives the vibe that the person is out of control and therefore dangerous.
Sometimes I get so worked up.
As someone that's watched too many women murderers, most of them have this chaotic vibe, a vibe that's subtly shown long before any actual murders start to take place. If we proceed with our first example of Annie Wilkins from Misery, someone that builds an obsession with this book author named Paul, there's subtle behavior that reveals her as something sinister from the start. Maybe it's the fact she openly talks about stalking Paul.
Some nights I just tool on down there and sit outside and look up at the light in your cabin.
Or maybe it's the time she can rant for a minute straight and somehow make herself angrier as she speaks. And these are all things that slowly start to give her away far before she ever breaks any legs and far before she shoots any cops. If your day-to-day behavior exposes you this easily, then it's pretty easy for most people to put the pieces together. The girl from this 2002 movie named May very similarly built an obsession with this guy named Adam. Please notice, just like Annie from Misery, this girl also fails to hide her obsession.
You haven't really been standing out here for 2 hours, have you?
What do you think?
Already, this is a terrifying response, but if we stay on the porch just a little longer and further analyze body language, there's a constant movement shown in her body. Movement that gives her a horrifying, erratic look. In fact, it's a type of movement I've noticed in many other disturbed individuals, like Misty from Yellowjacket. But what if I told you this is just the beginning? I purposely showed you these subtle examples first. The more popular woman killers are even easier to catch, whether it's Pearl and her constant breakdowns,
I want what they have so badly.
or it's Sweetpea and her nervous behavior around the cops. Anyone, especially a detective, could easily spot there's something up with these individuals, leading to them getting caught much quicker. Now that you see how most women murderers give themselves away pretty easily, you'd think the point goes to the men. But most of the male serial killers also have an issue. They are actually too emotionless. If I made you guys a detective for a few minutes because I said so, and I asked you to analyze this behavior, is it normal to sit like this on a couch while your wife is crying? No.
Maybe if I don't blink, my eyes will tear up.
Is it normal to banter with a gas station worker while directly staring into his soul? Also, no. I actually bet this worker probably understood he was talking to a psychopath from this one simple conversation. And that doesn't sound like a very discreet person, now does it? To add on to this, there's a famous Korean drama called Flowers of Evil, where the husband is a retired serial killer, and my absolute favorite thing to do is analyze the body language between him, the secret killer, and his innocent, loving wife. Take for example this scene in episode 6. Hugging your own wife like this, with these little taps on the back, is genuinely baffling. This sort of unemotional type of connection continues for the 14 years that she's with him, no matter the circumstance, because he really is just emotionless. Even when his wife brings him good news, there is a lack of care that comes from him that is so obvious, even the wife at one point starts to question him.
오빠 진짜 좋아?
좋다니까.
This is a clear example that shows that sure, women might be totally too emotional, but men are too emotionless, and that could still be a very big red flag. And this isn't going to be an easy victory for either genders. But in the end, I would give the first point to the men. I think if a detective was trying to catch onto body language, it's much easier for them to spot the creepy emotional behavior than catching onto the men's lack of emotion, leading to the woman getting caught much quicker. But don't worry, sweethearts, there's a lot more to these killers than just external movements. So let's talk about about an even more interesting category. Let's address the different reasons behind why the genders kill, because there is a very disturbing difference between the two. Imagine all throughout your high school years, you were bullied and shunned by every single person around you, to the point where you literally have never had any friends. And so we fast forward into your adulthood, where we see you doing things with the primary motive being revenge. You now ruin those bullies' lives, killing them one by one, and that is the textbook formula for most woman murderers. Whether it's Bride from Kill Bill, who's after the people that killed her baby, or it's the lady from Murphy's Law, who's going after everyone that played a part in sending her to prison.
I don't understand. Who are these people?
The ones who sent me away.
A woman faces a specific tragedy, which then leads to her killing a specific demographic that is tied to that tragedy. But the issue is, as soon as authorities uncover this tragedy and find everyone involved, those people now all become potential leads, and they'll help easily catch the killer. Imagine you're a detective. You realize that Ma is killing every single person she graduated with. Now, all you have to do is pay a little extra attention to other graduates. Maybe place them under protection, maybe watch over them, and eventually you'd find her, because we understand she's after a specific demographic. Now, keeping that in mind, what if this pattern was totally scrambled? Well, now things start sounding more like male serial killer. And here's where things will start to get very disturbing, because unlike the woman, these men will make victims out of literally anyone. Best example of this is Hannibal Lecter, who survives multiple seasons with little to no suspicion because his motive is literally non-existent.
Are you a murderer, Dr. Lecter? What reason would I have?
And his victims have no commonality between each other. He kills people literally because he wants to, because he's curious about what would happen, treating it like a fun little game he gets to play, like a science experiment he gets to display.
I was curious what would happen. I was curious what you would do.
So tell me, how does a detective try to build a pattern off someone with no recognizable motive or pattern? And this isn't a one-off example. There's many killers like him that do this killing thing for fun with no strict agenda. Whether it's this German guy who broke into a random home, killed an entire family, or it's this cop who kidnaps people in his spare time on his 12 o'clock lunch breaks. The key pattern I want you to remember in your brain is these men have a lack of reasoning, and good luck trying to build a profile, a case against these sickos who will literally just go after anyone. One day they'll go after me, the brown-skinned curly hair guy. One day they'll go after Bob, the 30-year-old retired nurse. So in this case, I will once again give the point to the men. Now, before we get to a very interesting part, make sure you join my Discord, link in the description, if you want to talk about serial killer shows or movies. Now back to the video. Although the men are winning right now, we must address the most important category that remains. Without being successful in this category, you are still guaranteed to get caught. And the category I'm talking about is the technique behind these kills. Which gender will get the kill with minimal evidence to show for it? That is the defining factor on whether you'll get caught or not. Well, starting with the woman, their emotions prevent them from choosing the safest logical route. Let's take the most famous woman murderer of all time, Pearl. If you don't know her, essentially she's a farm girl who just hates her life, because deep down she wants to run away and become a movie star. But pay attention to this next part. The strategy she uses to eliminate everyone around her and become free is a strategy that she doesn't know of herself, because it is a strategy that impulsively arises. It simply doesn't exist beforehand. Take for example her very first kill 49 minutes in, where she kills her poor mother. This scene literally began with a simple disagreement at the dinner table where the mother wasn't happy with her attending an audition, which eventually leads to a small scuffle where the mother is pushed against this campfire and slowly burns to death. Now hold on to that pattern, because the same pattern happens in her next kill. A sudden argument arises, she gets overly pissed at her boyfriend, and without a second to think, she picks up literally the nearest object and runs over to stab and kill her boyfriend, leaving a mountain of evidence on the pitchfork itself, all over this black car and all over this beautiful green lawn. Now that you've seen that, do you guys see how this impulsive behavior continuously shows us that her technique is not something she's worried about at all? It's like as soon as that anger comes out, everything else goes out the window. And it's not only Pearl. I used her as an example because her impulsiveness is like many other woman killers. They feel a surge of emotions which leads to a very sloppy, rushed kill. Now, on the contrary, if instead we went back to Pearl and say, for example, we named her Perla. Perla is the male version, by the way, if that wasn't clear with the A. Okay, cool. He'd spend a lot more time working on the things before the kill, perhaps setting up plastic kill rooms like Dexter Morgan, where he finds an isolated area and cover it up so no evidence can be leaked. Or instead, maybe he simply gathers material that help him cover any future evidence. This leads to a much more skillful execution that doesn't have you scrambling to clean up after the fact. And this strategic route is what's seen by most popular male killers. They plan first, kill after. Whether it's Dexter Morgan, who we see do extensive stalking beforehand, or it's the killer in the Poughkeepsie tapes that waited all day in this closet so he could strike the couple at the right time later at night. These people are careful on a scary level. Like, oh my god. And by now, it should be crystal clear which gender has the better technique. So alas, the men sweep the serial killer contest with a 3-0 lead. Oh my god. I swear I don't hate girls, I swear. And you know what? Although the men win on paper, don't let your guard down around women, because you really might just stumble upon one of the elite female killers. If you click this playlist, you'll see me talking about some of these elite females that are so outstanding they'd murder people like Dexter Morgan. Please stay safe out there, guys. Make sure you subscribe to me, and I will see you baby girls next week. Deuces!